Hello and welcome to the MEC Pod. We're back for I guess this is season 2, right? We call it season 2.
Running it back?
We have a season 2, right?
We can call it season 2.
Yeah, we kind of got renewed, right? But besides that point, my name's Travysty. I'm joined here with my co-host Mac Dewey and Shibby as well. Welcome back, everyone. We didn't have any recasts. This is great.
Yeah, I know. Nobody got replaced. Wow. Surprised. I mean, especially with everything that's happening around us. It feels like the world's crumbling around all of us.
Sports winter is cold.
Very. I'm surprised none of us necessarily got replaced. But it's also good to be back. Obviously, right? MEC is super fun. A lot of respect, a lot of love for the Midwest Esports Conference. A lot of love for all the teams. Always fun doing it with you guys. And I think actually this season is going to be really cool.
Okay, Matt, do you agree with him? Is this going to be a cool season?
Cool season. I'm super excited to be back as well. Back with the boys on the pod. You know how it is. We'll be coming back with more takes, expectations, recaps, the full coverage of the MEC podcast. Or the MEC season, I should say.
Yes, it's a recap of the podcast.
It's a recap of the podcast.
Are the streams just a recap of the pod that we do? Just I don't know.
Depends on when you watch them.
Yeah?
I think I just got our title for this episode, "The Boys on the Pod." You know, I think that's pretty pretty good, right?
But yeah, totally agree with Shibby. I mean, I'm super glad that we're covering our Monday nights and Friday night games for the most part. And Travysty, I think you're on the weekends, so super excited to be back. And I mean, week 1 definitely. I felt like I had to kind of apply some WD-40. I was a little rusty coming in, but after Friday, I felt more adjusted on Monday, and hopeful that the rest of the season we'll be able to keep on building.
Yeah, it's the building blocks that we have are very fun. I will say. So if we are looking to build, it's looking fun. And when I talk about the building blocks, I'm of course talking about all the fun teams that we got in. There's a lot of very much so intrigue I had over the course. So I've been able to watch all these games, and I've gone through, and there's been some that I was just like, all right, this is expected victory. This is kind of what I was expecting coming in. Do you guys have any expectation that kind of got defied going into this weekend? Because for me, I was really impressed with Drury, who had a complete changeover from their last season.
Yeah, that's been the big talk, right? I saw you guys on Twitter. I was still able, even though I was isolated in a log cabin, I was still able to see
Couldn't escape.
Yeah, I came back today after reviewing
right?
all the games. No, of course. It was super fun. I had a great time. We created like fires and we roasted marshmallows, all the fun stuff. But yeah, I was still able we had some internet. I wasn't obviously able to catch the games or anything because the internet wasn't amazing, but I was seeing on Twitter. I think I saw Jay, shout out Jay, who was like, "Oh yeah, Drury's gonna win CLOL." I'm like, all right, I don't know about that one. Jay.
I think he's onto something. I don't know.
But I did see a lot of everybody's like, "Oh my god, Drury's actually looking insane." Fat Cat was talking up the season prior, before MEC started. I remember he was in my chat and we would just talk about stuff. He's like, "Dude, there are 4 CLOL teams in MEC." I'm like, that's quite a bit. We barely had 2 last year, and our main seed
barely.
We barely had 2.
I will fight you on this.
Look, I was the biggest advocate for Ottawa. I'm the one in that committee last year that was like, this team deserves to be here. God, Trickster's amazing. But like we said, GVU got bounced out top 32. Luckily, Ottawa made it into top 16. Not luckily, they destroyed UC Irvine. But yeah, I think that's a bold claim.
Yeah, it was versus UC Irvine. That's crazy.
It was Irvine. I think you got to cast that one, Mac. I think you got to cast that series. I could be wrong on that one. It was top 32. But yeah, we had 2 teams barely make it, and now the claim that we have 4 CLOL teams is kind of crazy. But yeah, they were the big talk. I was surprised at some of the picks they have. They right now have the only Hui player in the MEC. Orion's
no Hui.
Spamming Hui. Right? Like,
Travesty skirt. Yeah, I heard that. Token, you thought you could just slip that in? Nobody would know. Okay, buddy. Welcome back to the MEC pod. We're back like we never left.
I like it though. I like that we have some answers. I like that we have somebody picking up Way, and like that's gonna have to be banned out if he's actually that good on the champion, which he's like winning the Karma matchup. Although the Karma in that game was a bit of an inter, had like 8 out of 14 deaths. Travis, you can attest to that one. You saw that game, you were casting it. But yeah, I like Drury. I like their new look. Quick Slice is cool. He picks playing stuff like Lilia top. Like, I don't know. Drury's really creative. Two teams that have really stood out to me, creativity wise, Drury and Briarcliff specifically.
Ooh, I to kind of add on to what you guys are talking about, I did not have Drury going 2-0 on my bingo card. Totally kind of caught me off guard, but was fortunate enough to be able to cast the Monday night matchup, and it was a close series against Cleveland State, a little bit of back and forth, but
Game 2 was insane.
I know, right? Like freaking nuts. But to kind of, build on that a little bit, I thought Drury somewhat different from last year. It feels like this year with Quick Slice in the top lane, and even, Orion, he's a freshman, fresh out of high school, playing like that against people with a lot more experience in this kind of environment. I was super impressed by them, and I felt like having those strong solo laners helped make the identity of the team a little bit better, because game 1 versus Cleveland State, super controlled, well thought out. Alzahan, who was their jungler last year, is back. He's one of the other returning players. He's going by Kaiser this time around. And Kaiser in that first game was playing like a mad lad, and they had such good jungle rotations. They were taking care of business. It looked pretty much flawless. And then game 2 comes around. It's a lot more back and forth. And then we're going into game 3. Like, what sort of chaos are we going to see? This is going to be nuts. And I think it's really huge, and something that probably kind of stood out most for me is Drury being able to go into that game 3, have a lot of confidence, and just dominate in that sort of game deciding match where, hey, we know what kind of picks we want. We know the overall way we want to set up our compositions. And I think it really spoke to the team leadership and overall getting set for the season, because we didn't have it on our bingo card, but a lot of kudos to them, because that 2-0 start just didn't happen out of thin air.
Can I ask a personal question? Did anybody else here call Orion Orin when they first casted their game, or was that just me? I think it's you. It's definitely Orion. So here's the thing. I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, and it's spelled exactly the same way. So it's just like, absolutely BG3 fan in the house. I was just like, I don't know how parents might be thinking about, all that stuff with Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm just saying, I had a fun time with it. They actually gave me there was a really nice interview with them where they were like, I had a heartfelt moment, because I don't get to hear it every day, but they were just like, oh yeah, no, I grew up like watching you in high school, Travysty, and now I'm getting casted by you, and I was just like, I'm so sorry I disappointed you.
When was that?
Would it make me feel old? Travis is just like, yeah.
No, but here's the thing. I felt great about it, right? And then as soon as the interview went off, I was just like, man, they're going to watch that VOD back and be so disappointed because I called.
Dude, what that kid did to you was the same thing I did to Otawamne last week. I got to interview him. And I remember he did his H2K Worlds run. I was like, yeah, man, I was like 18, 19 when you did that. He's like, what would you? He was like, what? I was like, yeah, it was like 8 years ago for
brother.
Me.
Oh,
he's like, whoa. I could tell he was like grateful, but also like, Jesus, why'd you have to say that?
He's just like checking his pulse. He's just like, oh man, I need to watch what I eat tonight.
No, but I get what Orion, that's crazy, right? Like, you watch them play or you watch them cast. It's a university you're gonna go to, and now you are getting casted by them. Like, that's wild.
And they're winning. in a really good fashion. And I wanted to build upon something that Shibby had, because I was going to next up talk about a little bit of a dark horse recommendation off of the first weekend. I know it's kind of spicy, but since teams are only going to get to play against each other one time inside this season in comparison to what you would normally see in the regular season. Last year we had like the double round robin where everybody got to play twice, and we got a really good idea of team strength. We're kind of guesstimating right off the get-go of how good these teams are going to be. I am a big fan of Briar Cliff, as Shibby was saying. Very creative team. They are starting off 0-2, but they have started off with 2-1-2s. Like, they've been able to actually take competitive series. One of those was against Ottawa Braves. I think that creativity that Shibby was talking about is to a detriment as it is to also as a benefit to him, and I think that makes them very fun to watch as a team. So I'm finding myself cheering for Briarcliff a little bit this season.
Yeah, they cook a little bit. They cook a little bit too much sometimes. Like the Morg Jungle, right? Like the Tristana Corky, that kind of like they do cook a little bit too much, but also like I'd rather them do that than just like try to pick something that they're not comfortable with, like substandard that they don't really play. Like, yeah, it's not, nothing to think that they went 1-2. And obviously that game against Ottawa, I'm going to say this now for the MEC as a whole. You guys got to stop egoing Karma. Like, stop giving it away.
Yeah. I'm
serious right now. You guys only play each other once. Just ban it. Just Ryan, I know you have way. I know you guys like Ottawa. I know you guys gave Karma. Like, there are multiple teams this week that gave Karma away, and most likely Karma is going to get mega nerfed next patch anyways. But the fact that we're just willing to give it over on red side and egoing it and losing to it, Ottawa, I'm looking at you. I'm just going to say this. Look, Karma wasn't the main reason they lost by any means.
It was a
but like yeah, there was a lot more. There's a lot more in that game. There's a lot more. They just got outscaled. There's a lot more. But yeah, like I can't, other teams egoing and giving Karma away just sounds very silly. Like I think like 3 out of the 4 or not 3 out of the 4, like three series, there was at least one game where Karma was given away just for free. Cornell got Karma.
Yeah.
Just like, and they had a really good Karma Trundle angle, and they instead went Karma's in, and then Jury counterpicked Trundle. There's just a lot of, I feel like some teams are also picking Karma and not really understanding what to do. We had Karma top.
Yeah, like a full AP Karma top too, right? Like it was like the full AP variation. You had no front line, no beef whatsoever. And I'm with you where I'm also just like, I feel like we're kind of going back in time to back where Lulu was super good. And it's like, first pick Lulu, it's going somewhere. Last person that, when I ask who wants to play Lulu at the end of the draft, whoever's the last person or the quietest is getting it. Good luck, top lane.
Roa Lulu against like Lissandra top, those cursed days.
Oh!
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Or like Lulu mid into Oriana and somehow you out trade him. Yeah. I feel like that's what Karma is. I feel like people are just picking it, but you've got to pick the comp around him. I do like the Karma mid with the double melee top jungle. Like that's how you should be playing it. Also, people have been pairing it up with like a range support as well. I feel like realistically, you just need triple melee with Karma support, right? So that you can get your team in there, something like a Rel support or an Alistar or Leona, and then you just have double melee. You just have like a really strong AD, right? Like a high scaling AD.
Nocturne.
You'll just win. Yeah, we just win most of those fights. Nocturne Karma's sick. Sinzao Karma's sick. Trundle Karma absolutely bonkers because not only do you Karma the Trundle pillar so you can hit your Mantra Q.
Also, Trundle's just broken.
Double synergy.
Trundle's just actually broken. So pick Trundle more.
That's my Karma rant, by the way. If I see it again next week, this is not official. I can cuss. Fucking stop giving away Karma.
He's been unleashed. Now somebody stop him.
Stop. I'll be tasteful with him, but
puts on the beanie. Totally different guy. Who is he?
Shibby, you're gonna get recast, dude. You gotta watch out.
Shibby, this is what we have to deal with in the ARAMs after streams.
just be cursing about karma. No, I mean, like, okay, for both sides, right? If they give karma to you, don't just slot it in anywhere, right? It's not like the square goes in the circle hole, guys. The circle goes in the circle hole. Like, that's what
Not,
it is.
you know the meme where it's just like different pieces going in like the really big one? It's like karma can just go anywhere. Like
Shimmy,
so bad.
Shimmy is the girl who's confused, getting disturbed as she's watching more of the pieces going.
Pizza just fit in the giant circle. Yeah. Yeah, the karma top was cooking a little too much, but also like I think it was Briarcliff. They had karma mid open to them, and the dude went like 9 deaths in the mid lane, was like not warding, was just dying.
So I will say I'm defending here. That was not the karma mid's fault. That was honestly so what happened that allowed that situation to happen was their Jin Zhao went to gank top and stayed top for 3 whole minutes. And the Gnar just kept autoing the Jin Zhao. And so the Jin Zhao never backed. And when we had our interview, actually, they said, no, top lane was actually just calling, saying, just do something because I'm keeping him here. They actually had top lane just shot calling, which I didn't interpret it as, I'm wasting this bozo's time. Come on, do something, please. Like, he's absorbing all this pressure. Jin Zhao didn't get anything done. I do think it was like Trundle like took all of bot side camp, then went ganked mid. You're already flashless from the last time jungle visit there.
He wrapped around.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also I'm gonna say this: that one play where he just like walked into grubs by himself.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
A little bit. Yeah, Travysty, I know you know. He just like walked into grubs, got Trundle pillared, Gnar, and like they were just there.
Yeah.
Or Oriana was just there to kill him. I was like, oh.
Yep, that was the you can hear me.
What are we
commentary.
doing here, guys? Why are we karma?
I said,
what is this?
I said there was a bit of miscommunication. Oven is hot.
But yeah, that's my karma thing. Mac, thoughts on karma? Busted? Not busted?
Well, we did see it last night. I tried to channel my inner Shibby. I was like, draft analysis. Karma's not being
You gotta be
banned.
careful
What's
about which
gonna
Shibby
happen
you
here?
channel, Mac.
That's true. That's true.
I did the wrong side on Friday, but I hope some people kind of missed it. It wasn't my bad. Again, a little rusty on Friday. Hoping to kind of
We
clean
can
it up
say
this week.
because we're not sponsored, dude. There was an Udyr that like game 1, first game, walked into the enemy jungle.
GVU.
Proctor walked in and just beat him up, and then Mac like halfway through, or like towards we were throwing it to game 2 or whatever, like the break. He's like, yeah, there won't be an Udyr fucking bear slapping. I was like, everybody gets one. Everybody gets one.
But that's what happened. He ran in. It's like level 3. You've got Kha'Zix on the buy, just clearing his blue, not a worry in the world. And then I hear like Ghost get procced, and I'm like, what is happening?
Mac gets triggered
And
by
we
the
heard
ghost.
in the post-game interview, they were like, yeah, Proctor is like, I'm just gonna go run in and kill him.
Yeah. Yeah. Fine.
What?
Early game buy. There you go.
Crazy.
But yeah, that was hilarious. Day one was fun. Day one was fun. That's for sure.
But my thoughts on karma, surprisingly, in the Drury CSU series, it was prioritized by CSU, and they even got it on the first red side rotation. Which was blowing my mind because Drury just did not prioritize it. I'm curious, like, what Fat Cat and Orion actually think of it, because it just like wasn't in their game plan at all, and they had like some pretty decent answers to it. They ran Ezreal Ashe into Varus Karma, which feels like, I mean, Varus Karma feels like the most meta bot lane possible at the moment, and then they just picked like super high range. You're not gonna. It's gonna be really hard to kill Ashe Ezreal in lane. They were like, we're just gonna try and poke you, see what happens. And then like Fat Cat actually had a huge amount of impact on the game, using Hawkshot to help with like jungle pathing and just spotting out Kha'Zix, who kind of had a limited game 1 performance, but then CSU actually responded in a really cool way in game 2 where oh gosh, let me check my notes. I have all the players. Sorry, CSU still new. It's Aqualad. Aqualad had a really good adaptation of just like running mid on the Karma and pressuring other lanes while the Ashe Ezreal were just like kind of sitting around farming. So it's all about what you do with the champion, how you handle the matchup. I think we saw kind of the good and bad with that. A lot of teams are ready for the Karma to come out, so something to keep in mind. But then when CSU got cooking with the Karma, I was like, oh my god, how do you get through that? So pros and cons for sure.
I love the fact that we have Aqua Lad, who I can dub Aqua Chad if he does something really cool. I'm very excited for that.
Totally, please. His in like Champ Select, his thing is like Aqua Chad. I don't know if he like swaps.
It
back
might be
and
his
forth,
name, but he doesn't
Yeah,
have it
yeah,
because that's a hard IGN to get. Yeah. I can
You
see
can't.
that.
You don't gotta worry about that anymore, right? The Riot. You can. There's like 50 shibis. By the way,
Shibby Army.
there's like 50 of them. Like I'll type my name.
A legion of
hashtag
Shibby.
whatever. That's
true. I always forget about that change. Anybody could really be whatever they want to be now. There's a million fakers out there, I'm sure. But I personally, I have a hot take. I think there's
Hot takes?
I think it's not really a hot take. It's not a hot take. I'm gonna be real with you. It's not. I think the Karma pick has been overshadowed by something else throughout this whole entire weekend, and I did want to address it real quick. I think the Corki was actually something that overshadowed the Karma in a lot of games, because I do think a lot of what Shibby talked about inside of his Karma rant, his Karma Twitlonger that he had that was out there, I
TED
think
Talk.
his little TED Talk that he had there, his Karma Talk, it was a lot of people were flexing it weirdly, where it was just like you're flexing it but not understanding what the dynamic of it is and what's good to pair along with it when you put it in Et's role, or how you should build it if you are going to put it somewhere. Corki, however, most teams understood that this is just a very good champion to put mid. Its item changes are very good. Like, there's so many things that are great about Corki right now, and I think Corki's one of those characters where Karma is a very simplistic kit, but a lot of people just like forget how to play it because it's so different from your typical mid laner you would put, especially because you get those satisfying like mantra cues you get to just like throw at people that hurt so much early game, and then they start just kind of not feeling as meaty. Corki doesn't stop feeling meaty. Those rockets hurt right now. You get them, what is it, Malignance, and you're just like,
Malignance.
Nobody's going it. Shibby said the build day 1. He was like, Malignance Eclipse is busted. I saw nobody build it.
All my
in
Corkis did.
At least. What
all my Corkis did, and they were popping off. There was a moment in time. There was a moment in time where there was like, I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was Blonde. Might have been who was like playing Corki. Actually, it probably wasn't Blonde, but they were playing Corki, and they were like straight up hitting the W key, Valkyrieing in melee to people.
Oh, get it.
And I was just like, what is he doing? And he was winning the trades, and I'm like, it's so Smurf. He's just running at them. It was an Orianna, actually, is who he was doing it to. So whoever it was, I cannot remember the player off the top of my head. But they were like,
Cammer. It was Cammer. BCU Cammer.
Yeah.
He was going against Blonde's Ori. Yeah.
And Cammer's sick, too. And Cammer is just like, permanently will hit the W key the moment you are within range. It was sick.
No, it's I think a lot of people have been opting in for finishing the Manamune and then going Malignance Eclipse, which I get it. It feels really bad to sit on a fully stacked tier. So you want to just like, hey, it's an early spike. Like I can do this. I have the Manamune. Like I get it. I'm not super like, but that is the core, right? Malignance, Eclipse, Manamune. It's really when you pick up the Malignance, that 2 item, like that's where the rockets just it's disgusting. I don't think we saw it in our day though. Yeah. It's yeah, that's exactly what Corky's thinking of. Yep.
You know what?
America, right?
You know what I want? I want an ADTF. I want a player to give me that. That's what I want.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see one. I saw some TF from somebody. I don't know. I think it was Camera again, right?
It was Camera because it was getting banned against Camera after Camera pulled it out in their very first game against Ottawa. So BSU pulled that out, and then they were just like, no, thank you, no more of that. What's going to take a hard pass? But they were playing the typical, the old school Rod of Ages into Lichbane, and then I think one game they did RFC, and then the other game I think they went like either Hourglass or what was it that they had gone? There was something else. Horizon Focus, I think, is what they ended up going.
Oh, yeah.
So they went one of those two as their third item. They did fine on it. They're a good TF player, but I've actually been expecting it just because of the fact that I've seen a lot of pros even trying to play at top lane, which tells me that there's some sauce there.
No, what?
Yeah.
There's some dude. Yeah, the game's getting weird. Like we're low key, the game's getting really weird.
AD items are really good.
That's crazy.
It's
That's
just
crazy.
Yep.
like
AD items are really good. Yep. TF got his ratios buffed. I think in Korea, there's an 80 carry player playing 80 TF. Like there's just
your
it's
E
getting
procs
weird,
on turrets now too. So like you're able to like chip down turrets even more so. So if you play that AD so technically it's weird too because the way the buffs worked, it was like big buff for ADTF and then like small buff for APTF. So I think that's why we're seeing people still stick with the comfort. But I think ADTF has some really good trading patterns in matchup, especially into like melees. If you play a melee mid into them, it's pretty hard to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I do want to actually talk about briefly. There's only two teams that had one game this week, both GVU and ONU. So it's kind of really hard to assess their strength. The teams that we didn't talk about.
Purdue.
GVU. Oh yeah, Purdue as well. But I'll talk about that. That was the match of the week for me versus Ottawa, and it was kind of a letdown, just a little bit. But Mac touched on it. Grandview have not lost a step. It's kind of crazy, actually. Like
so scary.
It's weird. It's weird because like early game, kind of close. 1,000 gold, 500 gold. The moment they rock up to a team fight, it's like a completely different team. Nightstar hasn't lost a step. Jinkall, who now goes by a different name, not lost a step, right? Castle was insane, right? Even their new top, I don't know how GVU does. The new top looks insane, right? Like, I'm just like, okay, this is a wild team. But it like game one, game two, it was like, oh, does Cleveland have a... No, they don't. They don't have a chance at all. Every single objective fight, they were just getting wiped out. Yeah, I don't know. GVU is just crazy. It is actually just wild, like how well or how just well-oiled they look. I don't know what Dreyer is doing or feeding them, but coming off of a break like that and then just looking that good, like off team fighting alone. I may be calling it now, but they might be the number one team again. Like it's really early.
I don't know if Dreyer has anything to give to the players. He was in Twitch chat damn bad to gamble his channel points early. He's like, please let me do something. Yeah, football wasn't kind to him apparently.
Yeah, GVO just looks good. They just look like that team again. I don't think they'll get challenged until Ottawa or Purdue. Probably those games when they play them, that's when they'll probably look the most vulnerable. And who knows, the meta might look a little bit different by the time they end up facing off anyways. ONU as well. Very surprised. Really cool to see Kai and Cuz, Kato, all those guys kind of back in the mix. Yeah, I think for ONU, I think this is Kai's like year, in my opinion, to cement himself as like a good AD. Like to right now, it's Nightstar and Levi, right? That's who the two that we're thinking of.
Yeah.
I think Win King and Kai are the two that are like really gonna vie for those top two spots, right? Like this is the year. It's either you show up or you just live in Levi and Nightstar.
I think they have 3 seniors on their team too. So it's like
this
is the last season for a lot of the players.
For a lot of ONU, right? Yeah, I think so. But yeah, I like their team. I think they were really they're super controlled, right? They were the team that like I came in, I was like, okay, cool. Like, how are they gonna look? They've got majority roster back. Oh, they haven't really, a little bit shaky, but they haven't really lost a step either. A solid team. I liked Ohio Northern University. I really liked ONU.
Travysty, I'm curious, just since I haven't gotten to take a look at it just yet. I know bad Mac not catching the match of the week, but
yeah,
I do feel like we have to touch on PNW versus Ottawa because
maybe talk about it.
I really feel like we do, just because from that week one, maybe outside of an early ONU Briarcliff, Ottawa PNW, if we're looking forward. I mean, again, we mentioned it before. It's single round robin. That match feels like the closest thing to an early playoff match, potentially, or an early match with a lot of stakes on the line. So I'm curious. I mean, Ottawa, they don't got Trickster anymore, but a lot of the same pieces. PNW, they add Pranked. So two teams that are super interesting to me this season. But yeah, I'm curious how the match went being on the cast for that.
I mean, I kind of went into it. So to give an idea, Saturday we got to see Ottawa play, and they won.
Yep.
Had an interview with Killian, and Killian actually revealed that they had just gotten Plutz. So they actually hadn't been able to practice as a team, and this was like their first game actually as a team was on that Saturday. So they had.
Did anyone give them Rumble?
No, they was banned the entire time. It's
No,
gonna,
they're
it's
not.
gonna
This is so
remain.
busted right now too. Right?
Yeah,
Killian
yeah,
gotta be
there's-
feeling
going
good.
But
I don't think he's ever getting Rumble.
But he's still like really strong. Like Yordle play was really good. Had a Ornn game. I mean not Ornn, Scion game that was really good, right? But Killian, when interview, said that matchup they're looking forward to the most was Prank. They named Prank because Prank tends to be like the best top laner inside the league.
The top father of MEC.
Exactly. But Killian
GVU
also
said the same thing.
But also Killian revealed that because they haven't played together, he hasn't played top. And I'm wondering how Killian was like playing like mid lane and jungle over playing top. Was like, I'm gonna go have fun. I'm not gonna play top lane. And they so I'm do call into question how practiced this version of Ottawa Braves are. Like, have they had time to gel inside of their roster, right? With that being said, you can't take away from the actually sheer dominance that Purdue had inside the games. It was disgusting. I think they had a really good game plan of how to deal with Ottawa Braves. So what ended up happening was they kept going back to like comfort in a lot of the games. And the bad thing about them going comfort early on was they were like, all right, we're going against Prank. We need Killian at his best. What's Killian's best character when they are not on Rumble?
I think of the Gnar.
Yeah.
What's good in
Yeah,
the
I think of
Gnar?
Gnar.
Yasuo!
No.
Yasuo, Tanks, Udyr, right? Like
Silas.
Oh yeah, Silas is really Klexo was just picking Silas, right?
Yeah. So Kletso was just picking
Pranked on Silas?
No, so it wasn't Prank on Silas.
Sorry.
So Prank was on Udyr. So playing the Udyr top, which is you were talking about it beforehand. It's very fun because of how strong it is.
The turtle shield?
It's nuts.
Absurd. Not okay.
And there was even a moment in time where Prank got a little bit too overzealous and Killian like solo killed him underneath his tower. And it was just like, that was great. Good stuff. Love to see punishes like that. The problem is they pick all these comfort characters that have like these really good team fight ultimates. And this was really like the Klutzo show, I feel like, where it was just like, pick me Silas, I'm going to run wild. I'm going to steal Gnar ultimate in every single team fight, have a more effective ultimate than Gnar will because I can use it at will. And then it was just like, it just felt like pure dominance. And then, of course, Doubtful. Inside the jungle, they had a game plan to make Prod's life hell. Prod at one point in time got straight up killed and taken away from all camps for like a good portion of time. He didn't get back into the game until he got a lucky they did a tower dive and he was the one that actually got the shutdown on the Ashe. That was like 6-1 at that moment in time. So that brought him even in the game, but they had to give 6 kills to an Ashe to get there. It was messy, and I kind of want to put it up to bad practice, but I do think Purdue is just also incredibly good, so I think you can't just show up without practice like that.
Yeah, Doubtful and Klexo are like really good. When I saw them, like when I saw Purdue like retool their whole roster, essentially, the only person remaining, Mac, is Toponer. The 52 trick 5 role master Toponer is playing support now. They've got Prank in the top lane, Doubtful, Klexo, obviously Winking and AD carry, and Winking had some massive games, but like Doubtful and Klexo to me are the two players. I remember watching them compete in NACL Qs. I think they competed on like CB Gaming, stuff like that. Like they always looked super impressive to me. And the fact that Purdue Northwest snatched both of them up two players that played on the same OQ's team and everything like that. Yeah, I'm waiting to see the GVU game and how they match up against Jinkall and Castle. Prod and Blonde, bit of an untested duo, right? Obviously, I think Prod, you guys said like it's his first year competing in collegiate. Obviously Blonde in and out, right? Like last year he was on Ottawa, then they had Riverside, but now he's starting on Ottawa again this year. I think Blonde's a good player. I've always thought he's a very good player. But yeah, that Silas into Ari is such a good matchup. Obviously Silas into just like having the Gnar ultimate, culling, Milio, obviously Ari ultimate as well to chase down. Yeah, Klexo kind of just Klexo and Doubtful are just really good.
It was really hard. It's crazy too. They have 2 mid lane subs on Ottawa Braves, by the way, because they have Killer Guy on their roster now as well. So they got Killer Guy, who was like pumping out like highlight reel moments on like Anivia and Heimer, if I remember right. I know highlight reel doesn't really go with those 2 champions, but still, it was a very exciting time to see them just like pop off on those chick characters. So it's just like, it's a crazy time for Ottawa Braves, and I do wonder how. I hope they keep a full roster throughout the entire time, but they have shown that if a piece of the puzzle isn't working, they have additional places. Like they have shown in the past when Blonde was having a little bit of a rougher time in the mid lane, they swapped in Riverside, and Riverside was quick to acclimate. So I have faith that Ottawa Braves will come back in, but I do think it is a tougher middle of the pack. So you have a harder time rising above that. It will be very interesting to see.
Yeah, I was, like I said, super impressed with Purdue Northwest. Like that top 3, right? Like I can firmly say top 3 is like GVU, Purdue, Ottawa, right? Right? Like those are the top 3.
Well,
like,
I think you can't really say that right now.
I mean, you could argue Drury, but I mean, like Drury played.
I think you
That'd
can,
be crazy.
you can actually, because Drury won both of their games this weekend.
They did.
They technically are up inside of the records. They've shown some things. I don't have full confidence just yet. I do appreciate the amount of fandom that they have. That all we do is win. Chance inside of Twitch chat is amazing. But I think they're messy. But Ottawa Braves is also messy, and they also haven't had any prep. So if they stay at the same level, I think Drury actually has a good shot at being a 3rd representative there.
I think, and we're looking a little bit ahead now.
Yeah.
Or ONU, maybe.
We're looking a little ahead. I think next week is going to be the real test for me to whether I think Drury is legit or not, because they play Grandview on Saturday, on February 3rd. If they don't have to win that series necessarily, but if they play them in like a very competitive 2-1, then I'll be like, all right, yeah, they could be the 3rd best team. But if they get like wiped out, GVU just 2-0s them, treats them like Cleveland State, and just does the same thing, wipes their hands with them, then I don't know about Drury. Like that's the thing. Drury has to play them very, very competitively in a 2-1 loss, or even just beat them 2-0, and then they're legit. I would think they're a really good team. I think that number 3 spot is up for grabs.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me that at least kind of brings up 2 exciting questions for us. Number 1, is that the match of the week? Which would be crazy considering that would not be a match of the week last year whatsoever. And now potentially here week 2, maybe the Panthers, you know?
But I think it is. If you're just basing off like standings and like score and stuff like that, because then we have like Cornell versus ONU. I would argue if you are gonna tune into any match, Drury versus Grandview could be a really good one. Also, I think like ONU, Cornell, or even Briarcliff, Purdue are pretty damn good. But if you're thinking match of the week, you've only got one day. You only can watch. Your mom says you can only watch one 3-hour session of League of Legends. It's Drury versus Grandview. I think that is the match.
I think it'll be a fun one too, because like the draft is probably going to be pretty unique. You'll probably get a more standard draft from Grandview, but Drury doesn't really disappoint. They throw like one additional thing you're not really expecting usually inside their draft that kind of shakes up the formula. So I really appreciate that from them.
And sort of building on that, so we have kind of our match of the week, potentially, GVU, Drury, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, depending on how the other game shakes out. It could be a little bit later.
I feel like we need
9,
like
9 Eastern.
Saturday. Tune
Saturday.
in to the MEC. Turn into the MZC Thunderdome. We're going to see some Panthers taking on some Vikings. Oh yeah.
Okay, Macho Man. All right.
But I guess my other point that I wanted to bring up is not only the match of the week, but who has maybe the most to gain from week 2, or which team is gonna have a
Drury.
big week 2 ahead of them? Drury, I think is up there. I'm gonna throw Cleveland State in as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because they've got some potentially competitive matches ahead of them. I mean, they play Ottawa and they play ONU. Me and Chibi, it's actually, we're going to be casting both CSU games. We've casted a handful of them so far, and it's a team with a lot to like, a few ups, but also a few downs to go with it. And so I think this is going to be a big week for them to get adjusted, and then they got to come swinging in week 2. You know, they were thrown into the jaws of the wolf in their first game, which is a little tough. And then they aren't able to come through against Drury. So now it's honestly kind of tough week 2 matchups. And this is honestly, I think, going to be a bit of a decider for me for how well they're going to be able to compete in the league. And, you know, we've seen our fair share of miracle runs. I was honestly kind of forgetting about last year, you know, Illinois College creeping into the top 4.
Yeah.
No, not creeping. That was fast. They sprinted at the very end.
Dude, that loser's background was pretty crazy. I was like, damn. They actually went from like bottom 2 to like
they were tied.
top
They were
4.
tied for last of the season. Drury was one spot above them. They were actually last place going into playoffs. The only team that wasn't inside of playoffs that they did not go through basically was Ohio Northern, because they couldn't make it.
It was
into
ONU because they had to forfeit all their matches.
Exactly. So it's like, this is a team that actually ran the gauntlet from the worst possible position, because they had to start off against GVU.
Yeah. Tough. And then they make the run. So with CSU, I do want to, something I really like about the MEC is our season structure, is the opportunity, I think, for teams to, hey, take the round robin with a grain of salt. You still can try and find your bearings. I think a few teams went through that kind of a soul search moment before playoffs, trying to kind of figure out kind of what's going on. You know, I think for GVU, even losing to Ottawa a little bit during the regular season, trying to figure out their team identity. So there's a lot of growth opportunity. I just think in terms of momentum and I'm going to say overall vibes of the season, vibes are on the line for CSU in week 2.
I have a pitch real quick. Mac, I need you to make a show where you give like romantic advice, but League of Legends. You call it Mac making.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I have just a pitch, you know. I'm just saying.
Is your
or like if you
support griefing you? Talk to me. Mac talk.
Yeah, you're
Tune
gonna
in, call in. We're taking live callers now.
Mac, please.
The
please,
amount of e-daters that will call you, Mac. The amount of e-date. You could be like e-dating couples counseling, low key.
Dude, really, dude. Like, you got it right. Like, Mac, please. If there's one demand I have out of this season, this is what I want.
You're getting it's going on the sticky note. I got a few of these lying around.
Like get one of like the filters where it's like the little hearts, that the neon hearts are on the screen whenever you do your entrance. You do like the dramatic.
It's like the 80s one where it's like multiple hearts come in.
Welcome to Mac making.
Talk to me, caller. What's on your mind?
Talk to me, caller. What's on your mind?
And they don't use like real names. They're like, yeah, well, I'm an AD carry player, and my support has been doing with other players. Should I be worried? Should I be concerned? And
What's
then
their win rate? What are they playing? Are they playing stuff with them that they won't play with you?
Oh, they're playing Yumi with
Well,
them
they
and
go-
not you?
Do they have
You're
matching
telling me
names?
they played Yumi? That seems kind of intimate. I think you got to be worried.
Mac making. Please.
You gotta be worried.
Please.
That's the trademark. That's the trademark. It's like
Goodness.
music. It's like slow roll R&B music. I think we're good. That's it. We're good. That's a great
That's
ending.
the pitch.
I think
That's
yeah.
what are we
I think
doing
that-
here?
I think
Can
that's
we
the
get
end.
on?
I think
Just
that's
cut
the
it
end.
here.
Hey guys, tune
We
in.
got work to do.
Tune in for Mac making. Coming to anywhere near you. If you have any questions for us, feel free to leave it down low inside the comments. Let us know about it. We're going to make sure that this is up on YouTube, so that way you'll be able to watch it. We'll be sure to post it around to the MEC Discord as well. So feel free to hit up any of us. Our Twitter @ are right below our faces, so you can also slide in our DMs. And if you have any relationship woes or advice on / off the rift, Mac making coming to a YouTube channel near you. We'll catch you all there. See you then.